everyone. Welcome back to Cincinnati Zoo Tales. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Mark. Thanks to everyone out there for listening to yet another episode of Cincinnati Zoo Tales. We've got an exciting episode. To longtime listeners, you will recognize both of these voices. We're being joined by returning guests today. We've got Dr. Mike Wenninger, who is our Director of Animal Health here at the zoo and our head vet. And then we're also being joined by Jenna Bowerman, who is a reptile extraordinaire, one of our head reptile keepers over at Reptile House. So thank you guys both for joining us. We're really excited to have you.
Did we decide who's been on it more?
I think we're tied.
Tied. Okay, they're tied for the amount of episodes they've
tied
joined
for
us
most
for.
appearances. Let's go.
I do feel like my topics were most important, though.
It's very biased. I think I've talked more, so I think that
you
should.
Can't keep you quiet.
Jen has done more individual contributions, and Dr.
It's
Mike
true.
has been more collaborative. So
What does that say about us?
If we're going by the number of words, Jenna wins.
Well, let's go by that then.
Let's go by whatever gets Jenna the win.
Whatever gets me the win, that's good.
We have an interesting topic today that we're excited to hear about. It's something a little bit different, but essentially, I think it's really exciting because it allows us to do... We're doing conservation every day here at the zoo, right? But this is kind of an outsider conservation story that's now brought to the zoo. So we're going to talk about box turtles today, which we've now learned almost everyone is a huge turtle fan, right? Like, who doesn't love a turtle?
How could you not?
Especially when you're growing up.
Right. Everybody's seen a box
They're
turtle.
amazing, yes. So I guess, do you guys want to start off telling us just a little bit about box turtles? Where they live, what they're like, what they eat. Natural history?
Yeah.
That's the reptile extraordinaires.
This is where my talking time starts. Okay. So we've got eastern box turtles around here in Cincinnati area. But the eastern box turtle actually has a pretty wide range. It encompasses probably 18 states or something over eastern U.S. So they have quite a lot of territory, but these guys are omnivorous, so they'll pretty much take advantage of any kind of food source that they can come across, but they primarily love to eat insects, worms especially, some good protein there. They'll even take advantage of carrion lying around, but they're also really important in seed dispersal for berries, low-hanging berries, so they'll eat and then obviously poop the seeds further along to help those plants grow. So they're very important with that. A lot of people love these guys because they're beautiful. They have beautiful shells, and if you see one with bright red eyes, odds are it's probably a male. Typically males have bulkier heads, they're very colorful, they have really red eyes. Females can kind of have red eyes too, but a lot of the time they're a little bit duller in color. They have more brown eyes.
It's interesting that they're typically males, but not all of them.
Not all of them, yeah.
Usually if you hear a certain sex has like red eyes or a different colored eye, it's always.
Yeah, we want to say, I wish we could say if it's a red eye, it's male,
Yeah.
but they've found females to also have red eyes.
Okay.
So, so they like to live in kind of woodlandy areas, but you can also find them in little grass edges as well. They love being around water, and they're very active during rainy days because that's when all the insects get stirred up. And so if you go on a rainy day and it's warm still, you may see some turtles kind of moving around.
I have a question for you guys. Why are they not considered a tortoise? Are they considered a tortoise? They seem to be less, they're more terrestrial, less in the water. Their feet are not webbed like normal turtles, right?
Yeah.
Did I stump you guys? They're both looking at me and I'm like, did I ask a really dumb question?
No, that's a good question.
I've always wondered that.
I feel like I've been asked that before.
Yeah, I think it's more to do with evolution more so than specific characteristics of that species, if that makes sense. Like maybe I might be making this up, but maybe they evolved more from a turtle common ancestor. Because they're kind of like show characteristics of both. They do spend some time in water, but you're not going to find them swimming in the middle of the lake.
And they have more domed shells, which I think of as tortoises. Not all tortoises, but I think of and more club feet.
But when you think of their diet too, aquatic turtles are very much into fish, invertebrates, things like that. Whereas tortoises, typically you associate them with more foliage and grassy type diets. Yeah. So I do think that Dr. Mike's right, it's like an evolutionary thing. Because they'll hang out in swampy areas too, and they're very, they're good to hang out in areas like that, whereas tortoises wouldn't really hang out in heavily wet areas
Yeah.
typically.
Can they swim?
They float.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more like a float paddle, like not paddle around, like walk in shallow.
Yeah, okay, that's what I always thought. So I've always
would say
wondered
kind of
why they're not a tortoise.
Well, funny, because I was going to compare them kind of to the Galapagos tortoises. They can't swim, but they can float and kind of change direction and kind
Okay.
of paddle a little bit, but
They're like a toddler swimmer.
kind of, yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Gotta
Okay.
touch the bottom.
That's right. Tippy toes.
The
We
box
need-
turtles bridge the gap. They bridge
Yeah,
the gap
they
between
do.
tortoises and turtles.
Okay, sorry to throw you off there, but I've
That
been
was a good
wondering that
question.
for like my whole life. Like why I thought they were like more tortoise-like.
Next time you need to give us a little warning for these
Mike
Mike and I
questions.
just like made eye contact with each other.
you
wanna
that's a
take
good
this?
question. That's not a medical thing.
Well, I guess, yeah. Well, you answered it really well.
Good at making stuff up.
Now,
What I found really interesting, one thing you mentioned though, is that they eat carrion. I don't typically like associate turtles with scavenging. Like that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think even you'll see that in aquatic turtles too, I'm sure. Take off little pieces of dead fish maybe, but even our Galapagos tortoises, they'll take advantage of carrion as well. We've found like half-eaten like skeletons in the Galap yard. We found bones in their poop before. I think it's just something that, I don't think it's like they're seeking it out, but they try to see if anything's edible. And I think a lot of turtles are like that. I think it's just a very good survival technique.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like opportunistic.
Yeah.
I have seen box turtles eating on a, not like a herd of them. It's not like they took down a deer, but
That'd be wild.
all the turtles.
It just came out of the woods.
But a while ago, I was in Arkansas, like probably 15 years ago, and just driving around looking at different wildlife, and there was a roadkill deer with a box turtle eating on it.
wow.
Wow.
I imagine it wasn't the first one to the scene.
Yeah. Wow,
really cool,
that's very
though.
interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. That'd be quite the sight. Okay, so you mentioned where they live. Can you tell us about like what do they do in the winter and their like conservation status?
So they're listed as vulnerable right now. So, but, turtles and tortoises, I think, are always under the microscope of conservation because they are the most trafficked reptile. They're often very easy to transport, easy to hide. They're very valuable. People, whether you're using them for the pet trade or where people use their shells for different things, they're beautiful animals. And they're usually pretty resilient. So they're always needing help. As far as brumation goes, so brumation is typically what these turtles do in the winter, and it can depend. So obviously if you have a box turtle living in Georgia, it's going to have a very different experience than one living in Pennsylvania. Very different temperature thresholds. So right about now, our box turtles are all hunkered down. We had a bit of a cold spell with some snow, so by then they've pretty much burrowed below the frost line of some dirt, substrate, under some leaves. And pretty much they go through what's called brumation. And brumation is similar to what mammals go through in hibernation, but a little different. So whereas mammals, like our new black bears, for example, black bears will eat a ton, get a ton of fat reserves, and then go into a deep sleep until they're ready to come out of hibernation. Whereas box turtles will, they kind of eat their normal amount, but it doesn't... Whether they brumate or not is not reliant on how much food that they eat, typically. Okay. So pretty much they slow their metabolism and they go into like a semi-conscious state almost. So if it's like a warm day in December, they'll come out and take advantage of drinking some water, getting hydrated, things like that. But they won't still really be eating or anything like that because their bodies pretty much told them we need to do the bare minimum. But they're still hanging out under there until it's time to warm up and come back out. So that's what our turtles are starting to do now. And yeah, even the babies go through this too. So they're just deep down under there. And as the leaves on top start to decompose, that creates additional heat, an additional layer of insulation.
That's why you should leave your leaves.
Leave your leaves.
I
We
feel
just talked
so
about this. We
passionately
just
about this,
talked-
and I yelled at
I
everyone in the
I
last
always leave my
podcast
leaves.
about it.
I'm actually about to put all my leaves like where I just planted some native plants because it's a good insulator.
Yes, it
it's
is.
good for your plants.
Yes, and it can help the box turtles.
Helps the box turtles. Box turtles love leaf piles, guys.
So maybe if you want to attract some box turtles, but we'll get into that too because
We'll get into that,
we have
yeah.
so many questions about box turtles and where they live and if they leave their homes, their areas for life and all of that. Is there anything natural history we should touch on before we... Did I miss anything?
They can live a long time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because I think we have a box turtle, or we did here at the zoo.
We have a few here.
And aren't they, isn't Shelley like the oldest animal at the zoo?
Oh,
Juliet?
Shelley is?
Shelley? I don't know.
Do you know how old they are?
I don't think I don't remember how exactly old they are, but I do believe that one of our box turtles is the oldest animal in the zoo.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought that, but...
Like older than my time?
Yeah. It's an ambassador turtle.
How long do they typically live in the wild?
So typically they say they can live like 20 to 25 years in the wild to maybe 40.
Oh,
but
I thought it was way more than that.
Well, some people have said that they can reach 100, but I think that's so rare.
Yeah.
Some people believe that turtles never die, but they do.
Unfortunately
for everybody.
We like them to be immortal.
But yeah, they do live a long time. Like I've heard of box turtles living between 40 and 60 years too, depending on the type of care they have.
That's what I would have guessed.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think on average, have you seen that relatively?
That's what I would say, 40 to 60.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because they don't start to breed until they're later, and then they don't have giant clutch sizes, and so they need to have a long reproductive life. Which is why conservation is so important for them, because when young adults are taken, the babies may take 4, 5, 6, 8 years before they start breeding, and they're only having 4-ish
4 to 5
eggs per somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
And those guys, by then it's another 5 or 7 or whatever years until they can breed. And so when you're taking adults to be shipped somewhere overseas, it doesn't take a lot of poaching to devastate a local population.
Yeah, definitely. Which kind of takes us into the story we wanted to share today, and how you mentioned they're beautiful, people traffic them, people take them for pets. They're pretty easy to find if you know where to look, and obviously you can pick them up very easily.
They're not
people,
dangerous or
yeah,
anything,
they're not super fast. So people think, oh, I'll take this home, but that definitely is hurting them and hurting the population. And recently the zoo has partnered with
the Division of Wildlife for the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Division of Wildlife.
We were joking earlier about DNR.
The acronyms.
What did we say? ODW. There are many things. I was like, which one did we
Division of
decide?
Wildlife.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of acronyms.
Yeah.
And they don't get mad if you mess them up, so it's okay.
So, Dr. Mike, tell us a little bit about this project that the Cincinnati Zoo is helping with and how it all came about.
Well, do you want to talk about where they came from first?
Yeah, I can talk about
and
that.
collecting, and then is that okay?
Sure.
Absolutely.
And then I'll get into what we did once they got here.
Okay.
And things like
Yeah.
that.
Tell us
Yeah.
how we came across these turtles.
So it was about middle of summer. We got notified by Division of Wildlife that there was a group of box turtles. We didn't know how many. That were in a middle school courtyard, and this middle school is in up north around West Carrollton, Ohio area, and apparently all we knew at the time was they've been in this courtyard their whole lives, and they've been there for 30 years. So we knew we had 30-year-old turtles. What we didn't know is, did they breed? Have we, do we have babies? Are there eggs? So what they told us, they had no idea how many are there, but the school is slated to be demolished next year, and they wanted to move any turtles we could get out and hopefully reintroduce at a later time. So we collaborated. We had people from Division of Wildlife there, PR was there, vet staff was there, multiple departments showed up, and it was a few hours it was very hot. It was a very hot day, actually. Just digging and looking for these turtles. And what we talked about is they do like to dig, they like to hunker down. Sometimes they camouflage really well. This courtyard had tons of, what was that weed? Was it?
Euonymus.
Euonymus.
Yes.
And if anybody's ever worked with that, it is tough on your hands. It is just hard to pull up.
It's impossible.
So yeah, it's really tough. But there was excitement every time we found a turtle. We ended up leaving that day with 21 turtles. Roughly, I believe, I'm trying to think how many juveniles we initially had. It was 14 adults and 7 juveniles. And so we, got them all up. We brought them back to the zoo. and we actually set up a space in our vet hospital in 2 different sections pretty much. So we kind of divided of what the age and weight group was, if that makes sense. So the adults, which were, adults or subadults, would be in the outdoor area where they would pretty much experience Ohio weather, and they would be pretty much, left to do what turtles do. Whereas the juveniles, and keep in mind we did find one that was only 13 grams, very likely 100% was a neonate, so hatched this year, 2025, probably this spring.
13 grams is
13,
so little.
it's so
That's
literally,
a
like you said, a half
weighs,
dollar.
right?
Like, yeah, so
gosh.
incredibly small. It was the last one we found of the day. And so any young juveniles and that neonate were actually in a separate habitat, more indoors, but the door is open to the outside, so they can still kind of feel the Ohio weather, but we're also still able to make sure they're still getting some heat and stuff, because we were getting into some chillier weather.
Now, I get that, but I also don't get it. Like, they would have lived all winter outside, so what was the thought behind that?
So the mortality rate in really young turtles is probably not actually known, but it's thought to be pretty high over their first few years until they get to be like subadult size. And so there's also, you have to be a little bit careful with the temperatures, because if they're too warm that they're not eating, but they still have like a metabolism that's causing them to lose weight, then that's dangerous for them. So where they're set up is probably like, 8 or 10 degrees warmer than outside temps. So they're still experiencing all of the same things. It's probably just delaying like their brumation by maybe a few days while the weather's changing.
Okay.
So it's just to give them a little buffer then? Like,
yeah, a little
That's
bit
the
more
idea.
of a buffer. Also being inside more, it's easier for us to check on them.
With how small they are, we didn't want to put them in the same habitat as the older ones, because we would put them in. I mean, this habitat's significantly large. I mean, it's huge. We probably would not be able to find them until spring, and hopefully we would find them. And it's, I mean, how deep did we end up making that? It's probably 3 or 4 feet deep.
Yeah, I think it's maybe 30 inches deep.
30 inches.
So.
So 30 inches deep of
with
just
leaf
soil,
litter
and then leaf litter on top. So. I think that they would just be lost in there. So this was more of a controlled environment that we would be able to kind of check on them if we needed to.
Okay.
Make sure they're doing
They're
okay.
not going to actually burrow down 30 inches, but we wanted to make sure that whatever space they had was, they could always get below a frost line. So, probably it didn't need to be quite that deep, but
Why
Better
not?
safe
we
than
Yeah.
sorry.
can, we can, so why not?
So you mentioned at one point, did you say how long ago 2 turtles were released into
30
this
years ago.
30 years ago.
30 years ago, they were put there, back in the day, I think people, just saw box turtle. It happened a lot,
It's like the school's class pet.
Yeah,
essentially.
kind
They
of a
decided to
situation
leave it
like that. And over the years, they bred. And so technically, I guess all of these turtles would theoretically be related from this original pair.
And the courtyard was like, this sounds stupid. There's no exit or entry
No,
from the courtyard.
completely
Once they're in the
closed up.
courtyard, they're
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Completely. So it was kind of wild. It's just, which was good for the turtles in a way, because they probably didn't feel the total extremes of the weather, because they're surrounded by building on either side. Predators probably weren't getting in. So they were relatively protected in that space, which is, why so many probably lived to what they are.
Something I didn't ask when you were talking about their natural history. I don't think we chatted a little bit before this, so I'm trying to remember what you've talked about and what we've said on the podcast. But they have a large home range, but they typically stick to that. So what is that home range for a wild box turtle?
I think they typically say the numbers say from half an acre to 10 acres, but the average, from what I've read, is around 2 acres, is that they'll kind of roam but stick to that space.
So we were wondering how, if they're sticking to that space, how there isn't a ton of inbreeding and how that works. And it's kind of a tricky question, but all these turtles are okay, even though they came from one pair from this courtyard?
Yeah, I mean, we did complete workups on everybody. All of them so we ended up actually with 24 total, because the next day after that initial hunting. It rained, and the school found a few more, and then
you got a couple
a
more.
reptile
Yeah.
operator was able to drive up and pick those
Nice
guys up.
surprise.
Yeah. So that was, I think, a juvenile and 2 really small guys too. But so all 24 of them had exams and radiographs and blood work, and if they were big enough, they received a microchip for identification. And then we sent a ton of infectious disease screening out on them. And surprisingly, and I guess maybe not surprisingly for some of the things, like box turtles in nature tend to have like an existing prevalence of some infectious diseases. Like shell fungal disease is seen in some of them. All of ours were negative for that. I say ours lightly because we're taking care of them, not like they're ours. Then there are things like ranavirus, which is like it kills them. If they get it, they mostly die. They can be like long-time carriers, but a lot of them die. And then there's a couple other viruses and bacteria, and typically in a population you'll find some of those things. And we only found one virus, which is actually at the percentage that we found was actually lower than what the wild prevalence is estimated to be. So these turtles in this courtyard were seemingly healthy. So the initial residents seemed healthy, and their offspring seemed healthy, and so they all look good. They all look to be pretty healthy turtles.
Even their shells looked pretty darn good.
That's great. Yeah, because you just think about how they would typically need to go out and spread genetics and genetic diversity and that sort of thing. And I don't know enough, but I imagine reptiles, there's a little bit of a difference there with mammals. But in the wild, they would typically stay in like a home range. And that's something I wanted to talk about today, because you always hear if you find a turtle, like make sure you put it back in the direction it was going, like take it across the street and that sort of thing. But these guys seem to do well in their little courtyard. And I don't know, I just wanted to hear a little bit more from you guys about how turtles know, box turtles specifically today, like what their home range is. Because we're going to talk about in the future here, when these turtles, whenever you decide, they'll find new homes, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But how do they know where their home range is, and why does it matter which direction you put them in?
So I don't know if anybody knows 100% how they know, but it's probably similar to how birds know where to migrate to, and seasonally. And so there's probably seasonal cues, lighting cues, maybe like moon stage cues.
Like sea turtles and stuff.
Yeah. A lot of animals just know and have like instinctual movements that they know where they're supposed to be at certain times. And it seems like box turtles have that for a home range. And there's been some studies like watching their movement within their home range, and there's even like seasonal migration within their home range. So during some times of the year they'll go seek out one part, and it's been repeatable year after year after year in some populations, where they might go to like a specific habitat for some of the year, and then back to another specific habitat, and then back to an area where they brumate and kind of like rotate, and they're consistently found in the same regions over the course of over year. So pretty amazing.
So it's like that homing thing. It's like this innate thing that they just seem to know instinctually.
That's always so interesting. I know it's just instinctual. It's not actually like their quote unquote like knowledge, right? But it always amazes me how smart animals are, right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
You put me out there, I wouldn't know what time of
So
year, what
lost
day
in
it was, like what direction to go.
GPS. I don't even know how to get home sometimes without my GPS.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting to me, because typically animals, if they have the resources they need, they aren't going to leave. So it just blows my mind that if you picked one up in Ohio and you took it to Kentucky, like that it would still want and try to find its home, like, because if you gave it all of the things it needed in Kentucky, I just don't understand that. But it's just something instinctual that their body, their brain is just taking them back.
And that's something that we've talked about a lot, because it is, we've talked about, I think a lot of people know with box turtles, they've been told the same thing, like put it back where you found it specifically. Because of this whole homing instinct. However, there are also, people worried that what if you do take these turtles and move them, 40 minutes south, is that going to completely mess up this whole homing instinct? However, there are actual studies that came out recently, as of this year and even last year, showing that the turtles are doing just fine. They're able to kind of reestablish a new territory. Of course, you will still have mortality, just like any kind of released population, because there's very rarely a 100% success rate.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, turtles, like Dr. Mike said, lay multiple eggs, because it helps best, it gives the best chance for survival for one, know. So I think that people get often confused with that. If they see this and they're like, well, turtles died. Well, even if turtles probably died in their home range too. You can't take into consideration harsh weather conditions that they just couldn't figure out. What do they call it? It's the failure to thrive, predators. So there's even just habitat loss. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. So there's been a lot of people studying this because it is a very relevant topic right now as we talk about turtles being confiscated a lot. And there are a lot of conservation efforts currently going, even in Ohio. So, so what we know as of right now is we believe that these turtles will probably do what turtles do, and they'll figure out their home range. And I think what Dr. Mike was saying is, you want to talk about the radio?
Yeah, so part of the release efforts is to study this as well. So there's plans for them to be to have radio transmitters adhered to their shells. They'll be in controlled environments where they're protected and the locations aren't going to be disclosed, so that they're not just picked up and shipped somewhere. But the goal is to see how much they move from their home range. There'll also be a soft release, so they'll be like kind of penned in an area where they're protected, but they get to know like, hey, this is where I live now, and then eventually released from that site and allowed to kind of disperse from there, with the goal of knowing like where do they go, how far do they travel, like do they make a new home range there? What is the mortality rate? And there's the recent studies in surrounding states, like in West Virginia, for example. There's a study that it seems like they do adapt and do pretty well. Obviously not as well as if you just left them where they belong, so it's best to just not take them. But when they're in a situation where they're at LAX or they're at a major airport hub, in socks getting ready to ship overseas somewhere, and your option is either we try to place every single one of these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of turtles in a rescue, or you try to test them, make sure they're not infectious, do genetics to find out which population they're from, which is also ongoing, and then release them, expecting that there's going to be some mortality. But in general, my personal belief is if you put 100 turtles back into nature and 70 of them live is better than 100 of them not being in nature.
Definitely, yeah.
So there's no perfect answer, but we're hoping to find more and make a difference.
Yeah, that's awesome if our turtles can provide some of that data and learn some more. It's always interesting when you've got like an animal like a box turtle, right? It's something we've all seen so many times in our lives, but there's so much unknown about it. There's so much we still need to learn about it. So you mentioned we've got 24 turtles here right now. What is like the plan? Like how long do you think they're going to stay here? Are they going to be here for, is it going to depend based on their ages? Like what's that kind of look like for them?
Yeah, so they're slated to, we're trying to figure out a spaces because we want to release them in separate groups kind of due to the genetic issue. But the idea is to release them in the spring. That's all of them. So we've been, like I said, we've been more hands-off with them, kind of letting them do what turtles do. We've seen a lot of breeding behavior, especially during rainy days and stuff. So it's likely that we could be releasing females with eggs, which would be really cool. So I'm sure they'll get workups before they're released as well. So we'll be able to, make sure everybody going out is still okay and still solid. But the plan is for all of them to find their own home in nature in the spring.
And AZA has a program, the American Turtle Safe, and they have, so it's like an initiative through the Association of Zoos and Aquariums to try to get these confiscated turtles back to nature, because historically that hasn't always been the goal. And so there's resources put forth for it, and there's a lot of programs for different species. But as part of that, we're hoping to develop more of a larger presence for the zoo on that stage, where we can have some kind kind of rehab to repatriation programs for native wildlife and some more conservation medicine programs.
So exciting to me.
Yeah, it's moving
very
along
cool.
actually pretty fast. We had talked with DNR about, hey, we want to do this. Like, we're planning to partner with the Turtle Safe, and then we get a call like a couple of weeks later that says, hey, we have turtles for you. And we're like, well, we don't have our facility built yet, but we have applied for some grants. One is pending, like we were approved for a grant, but it's still pending funding to set up some like facilities at one of the off-site properties for confiscated turtles to go to be rehabbed, to go through an extended quarantine of 1 to 2 years, depending on where they're from, and then to eventually be released back to nature.
That's so exciting. Like, I always wanted to do rehab throughout college, and then I did an internship and realized you don't get paid. Like, it's mostly volunteers, and if, I just realized that I cannot support myself working in rehab, but this is like rehab, research, and conservation all in one, because you get to rehab any of them that need it and any potential future ones, and then you're getting to do research genetically. Is most of this done through like blood work or?
Yeah, some of the things are done through bloods, and there's the health perspective, which is mostly blood or swabs. Like, we send a lot of PCR screens out for infectious diseases, and then there's like the behavior side of it to see, what are the success rates for these turtles, and it's not just here. It's like, turtles across the U.S. and pretty much worldwide are facing a lot of pressure and seeing population declines. And so the more information that we can have here, the bigger effect can be made here, but also like nationally and worldwide.
Yeah, figure out more of the homing things we've been questioning, like how far is their range? Does it really affect them?
It's going to be really cool. It's very exciting, especially knowing that you're making such a huge difference in this local population, this local species. I mean, like you said, to be part of like the rehabbing and the potential release, it's a very satisfying conclusion, I think, knowing that that you did the best you could for these animals. So,
and like I said, we do conservation here every day, but that like releasing them back into the wild and helping them and the species in general, learning more about them, like that just feels like tangible, real conservation.
It is.
And I'm very happy in the Africa department, but like the North America department now has, so many opportunities to be a part of like North American conservation. I feel like in Africa, I'm like, well, could we breed some salamanders in this back room and release them at Boyer? Like I want to do something like that. It doesn't really make sense for our department to do, but I don't know. I think it's really cool, and I really, really want to go on your next turtle find if you ever have one. So please let me know if that happens.
It's pretty cool. The zoo has a big reach outside of Ohio, but and a big reach across the U.S., but we're kind of expanding the projects that we can do in Ohio. And there's a couple other exciting ones we could talk about at another time coming up.
Uh-oh.
Jen and I can stay tied.
Oh, really? I was going to say, will this be you?
If we talk about the rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Let's come together.
Snakes and all
we'll just have to do a bunch together.
Yeah.
You're just a duo now.
I don't know if I can handle her for that much.
Yes, you can.
So is there anything else about this specific, like, working with the Division of Wildlife or the school or anything that you want to mention that was cool, or anything we haven't talked about for the future plans?
They were all great. I mean, the school was so kind and helpful, and
did the kids get to help? Did you have to keep it reined in?
We waited till the kids were out of school just in case they were like extra attached. Like, why are these people coming and taking these turtles?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
But from what we understood is they kept the courtyard pretty restricted. The kids didn't really go out there too much. Maybe they did from time to time, but from what we knew is those turtles were very loved, which you can tell. They all look very healthy. But the Division of Wildlife also, they were so excited they were on their hands and knees pulling stuff with us. They were so excited every time they saw a turtle too. So it was just an all-around really awesome collaboration. I think someone said, you guys are going on like the ultimate reptile Easter egg hunt.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously.
And it's like you get this rush when you find one. It's amazing.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know,
I
Mike.
didn't find any. I was on my
Mike
hands
didn't
and
find
knees digging around in the weeds and dirt the whole time too. Didn't find a single
okay.
turtle.
Nothing to show
But it's
for
fine.
it.
No,
You were
not,
there
not a
in
single
spirit.
one. I was there for moral support.
That's right.
And if there was any sick ones, obviously.
That's true.
I
You were there for
could
that.
have been there for that, but there luckily weren't any. So
No, it was
lucky.
crazy, like, seeing this space, and I think we had pictures of just the amount of people that showed up for these turtles was wonderful, and then seeing the group of turtles that we were able to collect, it just, I think we all left there feeling so happy, because we didn't know what we were going to get. We were like, we could have 10 in here, we'd have 1, we could have 40. So, overall, 24 turtles seems like a really solid number.
That seriously, growing up,
Yeah.
that was like my hobby, is looking for turtles and just going around. So I'm very jealous. It is an Easter egg.
You need to
It
get
really
involved
is.
more with the reptile
No,
stuff.
yeah,
Come on
yeah.
over.
let me know.
I mean, hippos have nothing on
I
Galapagos
know.
tortoises.
I mean, come on. They are really fun. I love the Galapagos tortoises. Yeah, anything else? Did you have trivia today?
I do have some trivia
Okay.
if you all are
Oh,
up
boy.
for it.
I did
Yeah.
not do so well last
We've
time.
got,
You crushed
I've
me.
got
I
three,
didn't remember.
three turtle related questions, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
funny because
Wildcats.
we've
Taught
sort
me.
of touched on a couple. Oh yeah, the Wildcats. We've touched on a couple of these questions throughout our discussion, but the first question I've got is this is the species that we're helping to release back in the wild, eastern box turtle. How many states can the eastern box turtle be found in?
Did you tell me? I think you said
She
18.
totally said it.
I did say a number.
It wasn't 18?
It was 18.
It was 18?
Yeah, so this is one of those questions where it's a little bit tricky because we don't know exactly where they've been introduced and where they were naturally found and where, but between 18 to 20 states where they originally found, and now they've expanded their range because people are probably bringing them to states where they weren't before, and now there are quote
Are there
unquote wild
western box
populations.
There are box turtles across all of the U.S. Because there's like desert box turtles and ornate Florida box turtles that are found in Florida. But yeah, these, if you look at their range too, because I think I put 18, 19, because sometimes they touch just the tip of a state too.
So they
who
found in a
really
little
knows?
piece of the state,
Yeah.
but
Little
not the whole
piece of
thing
the state,
necessarily.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, about 18 to 20 states, so a pretty good range for the eastern box
Yeah,
turtle, really.
huge
Like, that's,
range.
like, what, a fifth of the states? Wait, 2/5 of the states. There we go.
That was a Jenna moment right there.
You know, zookeeper, math's not the strongest subject here.
Not a mathematician.
Two.
It's all right.
2/5 of the states, I think. We're going to need to double check that number.
Around there.
Oh man, we're right on with the first one though. Next one I've got for you, and this one is another question where there's a couple acceptable answers. What is the oldest known box turtle?
Ooh.
Eastern box turtle. So there's two answers because there's one where it was more anecdotal and people in this community passed this turtle down and they said it was this age, but there was no proven record of this turtle. But anecdotally, this turtle is one age. But then there's another age for a turtle that is, it's verified, this is 100%. Yeah.
Does it live at the Cincinnati Zoo?
It does not live at the Cincinnati.
All right, I'm gonna go
Unfortunately,
on the low.
both of these turtles have passed away.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
okay.
I'm
But,
gonna
yeah.
say 90.
90. Okay.
I'm going to guess 74.
74.
Wait, do we need to guess two numbers? Like, should they be guessing the anecdotal one and the proven one?
Oh.
No, I think it's all kind of interranged,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
What'd you say? 90 is 74? I'll say 83.
83. So you guys you're right in the range. So the oldest verified box turtle was 72.
Ooh, Dr.
Hey.
Mike.
At a zoo in Pennsylvania. However, there's tales of a box turtle named Boxer, coincidentally, in Martha's Vineyard that apparently lived to be 130.
Holy
What?
cow!
Yeah,
What?
it was passed down in the community, and it was kind of like there's some written documents, but nothing was officially kept of this turtle. But they
it's for
said
sure
it lived to be
passed?
130. Yeah, it passed away in the 90s, I believe. Yeah, but
We need
Maybe it
access
was
to
like,
this turtle.
maybe it was boxer 1 through 7.
I know. Like all the
there were
crunchers we
multiple
have.
boxers.
Yeah. It was a boxer.
Boxer 1 is for the
Numbers-
cruncher 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you all were right in that range, though. Last question, 2 for 2 so far. Last question I've got for you. There's a very unique species of turtle found in the sewers of New York, known as a ninja turtle. Do you guys know the names of the 4 ninja turtles? Incredibly rare species. There's only 4 of them out there.
My hobby was finding turtles, and then instead of playing house, I pretended to play Ninja Turtles.
Oh, let's go.
So you know all that.
Yeah. Let's see if Dr. Mike knows.
Dr. Mike, you know all of them?
I know. Let's see. Michelangelo.
Okay, there's 1.
Raphael.
Let's go. 2.
Donatello.
Okay.
And let's see. Which one didn't I say?
I'm gonna be really disappointed.
You can be disappointed.
You got 75%. If my math is correct, 3 or 4 is 75%.
Yeah. He's the blue one.
Leonardo.
Yay!
Leonardo, let's go.
I'm like, wait, there's one of them that
I was like sticking with you, very serious, because you're like, there's a very rare species. I was like, what species is in the sewers?
We should have all made something up and then,
I know, I should have.
made up some like Latin name and then told Jenna she needs to go research it.
And I would have gone to research it.
You would have been on your computer later this
I would have
afternoon.
been like, what is
I've been
this?
like, they're very small. You barely ever find them. They live next to
Really
the rats in the
sneaky.
sewers.
The rats, and sometimes
They eat pizza.
They eat
coexist.
pizza, yeah.
Yeah.
They're being
There
trained
is
by
pizza
a
rat.
rat. Like, to do
And their
to
arch
like-
nemesis is a guy who wears a mask.
And they fight crime and stuff.
Fake crime.
Oh man, thank you guys for like tagging along with my stupid trivia, but I
I love your
appreciate you.
trivia. I look forward to it every time.
Everyone loves it.
Oh man, Jonah, do you have anything else for our guests while we have them?
Unless you guys have something that we didn't touch on that you would like to make sure we mention for this project. No? Okay. Maybe we'll have updates next spring. Talk about,
Yeah, it'd be exciting. Hear about the release. Yeah.
Yeah, how they do over winter. Okay, if not, my final question is, what can I do? How can I be a better steward of the earth?
I think the best thing is, honestly, it's kind of similar to what we talked about before, is almost do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you find a box turtle in the wild, you can 100% appreciate it, take pictures, but leave it be. We know that they like where they're living. Like we talked about, they have a territory, so it's ideal to leave them where they are. If you do see a turtle crossing the road, be sure to help it out. Same direction. But yeah, that's the biggest thing is try not to take these guys away from their habitat, their home range. That's where they spend majority of their lives.
If there's anyone out there that has another courtyard full of box turtles, we won't
Get in
judge,
touch
but
with
I
us.
do expect an invite to come help
To go find the
them.
Easter eggs.
But no, I think it's really cool that the zoo is getting. I mean, we've done local conservation with wildlife and plants and everything. I'm sure for decades, but this is just one of the newest and
Unique
really involved
projects,
and
yeah.
unique projects. So I'm excited to start doing more too. It sounds like and. Thank you guys for saving all of these turtles, and we appreciate the school for reaching out and Division
Everybody
of Wildlife
involved. It's
letting us
great.
get involved. So
Definitely. We're gonna next time we do an episode with one of you guys, we're gonna only invite one of you and see how it goes. How it turns
Do you
out.
want your animals treated? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Dr. Mike's holding it over us now.
I can't even compete with
I was
that.
just saying, these guys are hardcore
Jenna, sorry. I think
competitive.
Dr.
Got
Mike's
it.
coming back next time.
I guess it's up to you guys to bring us cool stories. So you better let us know if you have anything you want to talk about. Well, everyone, thank you for listening. We hope you have a great week.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks to both of you for coming back and joining us once again. We haven't scared you off yet, so appreciate
thanks for
both of
having
you.
us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.